What is a tax sale? Well, my friend, you're in the right place. This is attorney Bob Diamond. I've been buying a tax sale since 1989, long time, and I'm going to tell you all about it, everything you need to know. What is a tax sale and how can you take advantage of it? A tax sale is when they sell someone's property, generally a house, but it could be raw land or it could be a commercial building, when they sell it because they didn't pay their real estate taxes. In every place across this country, if you don't pay your real estate taxes for 3 or 4 years, they will absolutely 100% sell your property at a tax foreclosure sale, either by selling a lien against the property and then the lien holder gets the property, or in about half the country, they'll just flat out put the property up for auction where bidders are going to go either online or in person. They're going to sell that property to the highest bidder and they're going to start those auctions at the amount of taxes that are owed. So you got to think about this 2 ways. I'm going to approach this from an investor standpoint, which is the side that I come from. Obviously, if you're a property owner in tax foreclosure and that's why you're looking at this video, then I'll just tell you one thing. Face reality, whatever it is, and take action and get out from in front of that tax sale, because tax sale properties sell at big discounts, typically 30, sometimes even 40 or 50% off of retail, and you need to get that property sold through a realtor. So if the reality of the situation is that you're not going to make it, then sell your house through a real estate agent, get all your equity out of it, and go on to whatever your next thing is. I'm sorry that that's the situation you're in, but the worst thing you can do is not acknowledge reality. If you're on the investor side, then I can tell you that there are people who don't acknowledge reality and instead their house goes to a forced auction. Now, to be fair, sometimes it's because the homeowner passed away and there's no one to pay the taxes. That could be one situation. Other times it's just someone who fell in hard times and didn't face reality, didn't sell the property. But whatever the situation is, that house is going to be offered for sale and they start the bidding at the amount of the taxes that are past due. And you're typically talking about 3 to 4 years worth of taxes. So let's take sort of worst case scenario, 4 years worth of taxes, 4 years worth of taxes. Taxes average a little under 2% of the home value per year. So for ease of math, let's talk about 2% as your tax rate. Well, if you're 4 years behind on a $400,000 house, that means each year you're going to have about $8,000 worth of taxes. So over 4 years, you're $32,000 behind in taxes. There's obviously penalties and interest, so let's just bring it up to $50,000 owed because of penalties and interest. Well, if you owe $50,000 in taxes on a $400,000 house, that's obviously an amazing deal if, for example, you were able to buy the house at the minimum bid of $50,000. Those auctions are generally competitive, but sometimes you'll ring the bell like that, but generally they're competitive. House is going to sell for somewhere between 70 and 80% of whatever is perceived to be its as-is value. So taking into consideration repairs. So let's say it sells for 80% of its as-is value. $400,000 house, that means that house is going to sell for $320,000. That's an $80,000 discount. And you know, that's not exactly like clipping coupons so you go to your local store. That's an amazing amount of money off. So bidders are active, but you can get amazing deals at tax sale. If you go there a lot, sometimes you'll buy things for the taxes owed. And there's actually a way that I'll talk about at the end where you can buy properties for just taxes owed with no competition of bidding. But I want to tell you a little bit more about tax sales before we get to that. But stay on till the end because of that. So when you go to tax sale, here's the process. First, you're going to get the list. Pretty easy. Just do a Google search with the county and tax sale. So for example, if you're in DeKalb County, Georgia, for example, you type in DeKalb County, Georgia tax sale list, and you're going to see the list. And you're going to find out that the tax collector or the county treasurer or some county authority is going to be selling properties at tax auctions. In DeKalb County, Georgia, they sell them monthly. So every month there's a sale that you can go to and hopefully buy a property at a bargain price. So you'll go to those sales. A lot of them these days are becoming virtual, meaning online, which is terrific because you don't have to drive over to the courthouse anymore, and it opens up the whole country to you. But you'll go in your bid. When you get the list, your first step is to sort through it and look for areas that you're interested in. And generally the lists are fairly large. A lot of counties just hold these sales annually, so it can be a pretty big list. And you just have to identify usually a couple of zip codes that you're interested in, and then you actually don't do anything, believe it or not. You wait until the sale gets closer, till about a week before the sale, and then you start really going through the properties. And what you're going to do is you'll pull the list again about a week before the sale, and they'll have updated the list so that anybody who paid their taxes, their property won't be on the list anymore. So you get this condensed list, and then you say, all right, I'm going to pick 100 properties to look at. So then you start looking at the properties, and your first step is you look at them online. Go to Google Maps, put in the address, and pull up the property so that you can, with the little man you put down on the street, you can look around. From last time Google went through there and took pictures, you can take a look at the street. You can often see the house, you can see what it looks like, and you get an idea, is this a place that I'd be interested in investing? So go through and just cross off ones you're not interested in, and obviously circle ones you're really interested in. And then what you want to do is update your list again. Typically you're going to be probably 4 to 5 days before the sale at this point. Update your list again and take the ones that remain of the ones that you're interested in, and then you're going to go out and drive by the properties, either yourself or with someone or a team that you hire. You're going to drive by the properties. It is very important that you see every property that you're going to bid on, because you're going to put up good money for these things, and they can be fire damaged, water damaged, they can be bulldozed. You remember you looked at Google. Google they don't take pictures every day, so you could be looking at a picture that's a year or two old. So you've got to see what the property looks like right now. So you send a team to do that. And again, the process is whittling down ones you don't want. And as you approach the sale, the day before the sale, you're doing your final screen, you're pulling the list again, crossing off all the ones that have now been paid because people caught up on their taxes, because a lot of people do catch up at the last minute. So you're going to then be ready to bid on those properties. And also make sure that when you pull the list like a month in advance, make sure you take a look at any requirements to pre-register for the bidding. There are many, many counties that now require you to register in advance of the bidding, usually at least a week or two in advance, put down a small deposit, and get approved to bid. If you don't do that and you try to register the day of the sale, in most places now you can't do that. So make sure that you check that out. And also make sure you do some study of this business, because tax sales do have a lot of risks to them. So what are the risks? The risks are you may come with an occupant. So you have someone that's in the house that is not your tenant. Maybe they're the former owner. Maybe they're mad. Maybe they're just a tenant. And you have to deal with them. The county's not going to do anything about a tenant. That's up to you if there's an occupant to get rid of them. So a lot of people in that business only buy vacant houses. So that's one thing you have to look at. Second thing, expect the condition to be bad. Because if someone wasn't paying their taxes, they're not paying to maintain the house. If the house is vacant and it's in an area where there's freezing temperatures, probably the pipes is frozen and there's a lot of breakage and water damage in the house. So you have to be prepared for that. So make sure that you're aware of that. And there are also legal issues. Oftentimes you can't get title insurance. You have to do something called a quiet title action, probably a $5,000 cost item, and probably 4 to 6 months of your time. So there are risks to this. To make sure if you're going to be investing in tax sales, that you do a lot of study of that, get some courses on it. I have a good friend of mine who's a world-class expert in that, offers courses in it. I sat down with him and we did two things. We talked about tax sales and the kind of risks and things that you do. But secondly, he found a really cool way to invest in tax sales that I really think you should look at. What that way is you can buy properties that didn't sell at the tax sale for just the taxes that are owed. And when you go to the right places in the right counties, there are thousands of these properties available across the country. And literally there's no competition. You can go and check out the properties at your leisure, and they're often selling them for just back taxes alone. There was one property, this is a property that I bought on Stanbridge Street in Norristown. I bought the property for $275. Now it needed work, for sure. It wasn't in great shape, but I bought it for $275. It was fixed up and resold for $65,000. It was a very rundown neighborhood. It wasn't a great neighborhood, but still, it was a great deal. And think about buying a whole house for $275. What it'll tell you is that's not a one-time opportunity or just something that happened to me. That's something that's available across the country if you know where to look. So if you want to know more about that, then click on the video. If your browser supports it, you'll see a link up here. If it doesn't support it, just look down below. There's a link where Tony and I sat down for about 20 minutes. We talked tax sales, and he talked about his strategy for buying these properties where there's no competition and you're kind of buy at your leisure. And I think it's just the most fantastic way to buy properties at tax sales. I think it's far better than doing the auctions. I did the auctions for years, but the auctions are a lot of work and you have to put up a lot of money to get a lot of properties. So I really prefer Tony's way of doing it. If I were entering into the business today, I would definitely be doing it Tony's way rather than the old-fashioned way. But remember, I was starting in 1989. That was before a lot of these things were discovered. But Tony is your guy. He's been doing this since the early 1990s. He is the guy. If you're interested in this, do two things. One, give us a thumbs up if you thought this video was good. I'd appreciate it. And also subscribe, because I do talk a lot about tax sales and all kinds of opportunities around them. So you'll want to be tuned in for more of those videos. If you subscribe, you'll get notices as I put more videos up. And definitely click on the link to go see my interview with Tony, because you will get an amazing way to get involved with tax sales that lowers your risk, lowers your investment, and can be the key to enormous profits. So this is Attorney Bob Diamond. Thanks for being with me today. And whatever you decide to do, good luck, Godspeed to you, and I hope you are wildly successful.